Well, I'm back. Thought you'd never see me again? You may recall the last time you heard from me, I issued a challenge to myself to learn to juggle 3 balls. Well, here's the result of my torturous efforts. Well, you may be interested to know the lessons that I learned from this exercise. There were a number, but I've narrowed it down to 7. I'd like to tell you what they are. First of all, you can teach an old dog new tricks. Second, I'm quite sure I have a neurological condition. I'm quite serious. I find it difficult to do 2 things at one time that require different parts of the body to work together. When I was a child learning to swim, I could, it's quite important to move both your hands and kick your feet at the same time. But I couldn't master that. When I made my hands go, I didn't kick and my feet would sink. And then when I'd really concentrate on kicking my feet, I'd forget to make my hands go and my head would sink. So that's not the formula to success for swimming. But eventually, I got the 2 of them together and I could swim. Well, it was the same I found with juggling. I could throw one ball up and then I'd forget to throw the other. Or if I threw one up and I threw the other one up, I'd forget to catch the second one. So it took some time to get past that, as I call it, a neurological challenge, but I did. My third thing that I learned was that perseverance and determination will pay off, and almost always will give you the success that you wouldn't have without it. Number 4, fourth thing I learned was when you believe you can do something, it greatly increases the chances that you can. After about a week of practicing, I'd gotten so that I could toss 4 balls and keep them in the air, but I couldn't go any further. It seemed like there was a wall. Something was stopping me from going any further. Then for some reason, I started to expect that I could do better than that. And once I started to expect I could do better, I did better. I could toss 1 more ball and eventually another, and I built up from there. It's much that way with children. That's usually why children learn things much faster than adults who are learning the same skill or have to relearn a skill like walking or swimming or skiing. Because kids just believe and expect that they can do it. So they do it, they don't put the obstacles up, and they learn much faster. The 5th thing that I realized was that there's no substitute for practice. It's said that practice makes perfect. Well, I don't know about that, but at least it makes us much better. Practicing for a few minutes, a few times a day, every day, eventually paid off for me. The 6th thing that I took from this recent experience is that sometimes when something isn't working out, you have to re-examine what you're doing and make the odd adjustment. Now, I started to learn to juggle by watching a video, and that helped me a great deal get going. But then I hit a point where I wasn't getting any further. So I decided to look for another video, and this particular video talked about about difficulties and overcoming certain difficulties that many beginners have. And there was something that I could see in that video that made all the difference in the world for me. And within a day, I made an adjustment, and it made a big difference in what I was able to do. And then maybe a week after that, I hit another wall. And so I recorded myself, and in watching, replaying the recording, I could see something that was very obvious on the recording that I hadn't picked up otherwise. And I made, again, a little adjustment, and within a day I was juggling several more balls. Now, the 7th and final lesson I learned is that success is golden. There's no other feeling quite like the feeling of accomplishment. Well, our Premier and Dr. Morrison have begun to relax the COVID-19 rules, but life will not return to pre-COVID conditions and normal for some time. So be patient and maybe try some new things. I have a long list of skills that I'd still like to work on. Something I've begun to work on recently is Travis picking on my guitar. Now this is something I've tried for years and have never gotten very good at, but I'm very determined now. The other thing I've started to do, I've resumed playing harmonica, which is something I did as a teenager, but haven't done for many years, and I've become very rusty at it. So I'm going to work with those two things. And at some point, I hope to be back, and it won't be for a while. These are both very big challenges for me. But in the meantime, just remember that self-improvement projects at any age can be fun and life-giving. In the meantime, stay safe and take care.